As a continuation to the first part in the origin of black metal, there were two more scenes in Europe that were of importance in the shaping of the genre as we know it. With that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off with Finland, Beherit, formed in 1989, consisting of 3 members. The band released a few demos and an EP along with a split release. In 1991, the compilation called The Oath of Black Blood was released by their then record label called Turbo Music, which included tracks from their early demos. At the time, they have received some money from the label, but apparently they spent all that cash on alcohol, which in turn had the label release the compilation without the band's permission. The band personally hated it and despised it, but in 1992, Beherit recorded their official first full length, which was titled Drawing Down the Moon. The album was named after a ritual of the same name, which is of Wiccan traditions. Drawing Down the Moon is Beherit's magnum opus and most influential release. Disgusting, pure filth. Unlike their peers at the time in the black metal scene, Beherit did not indulge in the razor sharp guitars which was common in the genre at the time. Instead, they had an almost boomy sound, but without sounding muddy at all. They also dwelled in some doom metal territory, sometimes at a crawling pace. This is a more primitive style of black metal in its simplistic chord progressions, probably not going beyond 2 to 3 chords per song, accompanied by ghoulish or rather demonic whispering vocals.
Ei me pistetty tarkkaa rajaa, että onko Beherit death metal bändi vai black metal bändi, vaan me tehtiin vaan tavallaan metallia.
Overall, this was the definition of pure evil, and almost 30 years later, it is considered to be a masterpiece release within black metal and is definitely essential. Impaled Nazarene. Formed in November of 1990, back in the early 90s, they were infamous for apparently having hatred toward the Norwegian black metal scene. But a few years later, the band themselves have disregarded this fact and even made up with Euronymous before his death. When asked about the name of the band, Mika, former guitarist, said he saw a pamphlet somewhere about Christ being a vampire, which raised the thought of how impaling a vampire is one of the most effective ways to kill it, hence the name Impaled Nazarene. They gained national success with their debut album released in 1993 and then their follow-up the same year. In the mid-90s, Impaled Nazarene stopped wearing corpse paint as to drop what they seemed to be childish ideas and instead focused on the music. And yes, what power have they unleashed with their music? Their debut album saw the mixture of extreme metal genres, mainly black metal with touches of grindcore, death metal, and even crust punk. The result was a relentless onslaught of chaos. On their second release, which is probably their magnum opus, Agra Karma, the pure aggressive emotion and explosive nature makes this a standout release and definitely of great importance. Throm started in 1990 under the name Dark Feast. They released one demo titled Hail Satan in 1991. This very same year, they changed their name to Barathrom and released several demos before unleashing their debut album in 1995 called Hailstorm. Another album released the same year titled Eerie, and eventually in 1997 they brought forth their groundbreaking release called Infernal, with memorable riffs that invoked the black flame of true satanic art, which coincides perfectly with the title of the album. Aggressive yet with a touch of doom metal, some melodic aspects to the guitar playing while still retaining the dark and gloomy heaviness, which has been something Finnish black metal bands have come to be known for. The vocals are sick and twisted. Overall, this is an essential piece, just like Beherit's Drawing Down the Moon was. Despite the three bands mentioned, the Finnish black metal scene has spawned countless notable bands that would later ignite the world in flames. Artcoat with a Black Death or almost war metal style. Horner with the beauty of destruction in their raw, melodic, fierce power. As well as Sargeist. Behexen. Modern bands such as Malum, Celestial Grave, and many more. Moving on to France. First up, we have Blut aus Nord. Vince Val, the mastermind behind Blut aus Nord, initially started his first solo project in 1993 under the name Vlad. He released 2 demos before changing the name to Blut aus Nord in 1994. Bluthaus Nord released their debut full length in 1995. The album stands out from many of the early black metal releases. The icy, distorted guitars, along with the somewhat eerie but almost epic sounding synthesizers, agonizing screams with some subtle chants here and there for an extra layer of atmosphere. This release was extremely unique for its time. It was then followed up by the second full length in 1996, Memoria Vetusta, Fathers of the Icy Age. This is a masterpiece, unlike any other at the time. It stands above many, considering Vince Vaughn was only 16 years old at this time. His thinking was never boxed. The ideas he created on here were way ahead of its time. The clean, almost trance-like lead guitar that laid the foundation for future work, along with the very nice audible bass compared to the debut. In 2001, Bluthaus Nord have pushed the boundaries of black metal again, yet this time even further than they have before with the release The Mystical Beast of Rebellion. Quite experimental, the hypnotic tonal style of guitar, which have shaped the sound that Bluthaus Nord have been delivering ever since. Almost trance-like, or a trip into the void or abyss. Really strange, not common black metal, as they fused some industrial tone in there as well. Even more so on the follow-up in 2003, the work which transforms God. As forementioned, they do dwell more in the avant-garde style with dissonant black metal, traces of industrial metal with dark ambient sections, chromatic eerie riffs make this sound like you are actually being engulfed by the abyss or your inner darkness, and it forces you to gaze into the void, your shadow, the darkest parts of your mind, as you are being sucked deeper and deeper into the void. The vocals are horrific and quite fit the overall atmosphere. Hypnotic and even psychedelic at times. It's a cold, life-draining atmosphere and is unmatched to this day. It is also of note how important Bluthaus Nord is, especially with this album. The influence it had on the third wave of black metal. Countless bands to this day try to emulate what Bluthaus Nord have achieved, or should I say, are inspired by what has been created here. A few modern examples would be Deathspell Omega, formed in 1998. Initially, they played traditional or raw black metal, similar to that of Transylvanian Hunger by Darkthrone, up until their second full length. In 2002, the vocalist of Deathspell Omega left, as he did not agree with the shift in ideologies and the new lyrical themes, which were formulated more around metaphysical Satanism or Orthodox Satanism, which then saw Mikko Aspa of Clandestine Blaze joining as the new vocalist of Deathspell Omega. In 2004, along with original members Harshal on guitar and Chaos on bass, they released C Monumentum Brickfire's Circumspice. I probably butchered the name, but it is what it is. With a more progressive approach than previously, yet still retaining a certain darkness. In essence, this could be seen as avant-garde black metal, but unlike Bluthaus Nord, here are no industrial elements. It does, however, lean more to the progressive side, with a more technical approach to playing dissonant riffs, which wasn't new, but at the time Deathspell Omega are the band which made this particular style popular. This album is quite dynamic in structure and possesses an enormous ritualistic atmosphere and does complement the profoundly mysterious concept that lies herein. Also, the use of Gregorian-like chants fit perfectly with the ritual. Overall, this is an innovative and extremely influential release by Deathspell Omega, which leads us to the third wave of black metal, or modern black metal if you'd like to call it that. The influence that Deathspell Omega have within the third wave of black metal is sublime. Many bands have adapted this style or approach to black metal. Perfect examples would be bands such as There are also bands who have been inspired by both Bluthaus Nord and Deathspell Omega alike.